Hi, this is Karen with Access to Tanzania. I'm here again to talk about some pre-departure preparation details. Today, we're going to talk about a typical safari day. As you may have noticed in the planning process, we are not super prescriptive about hour-by-hour daily schedules. And the reason for that is that this is a fully private safari. So today's video, I want to give you some broader ideas as to how typical safari days work so that you can work with your guide to craft each day to maximize your experience. So let's get started. Most of you will leave for safari from Arusha. Sometimes people will have had a rest day after arrival and before they start safari, but fundamentally when you leave Arusha, you will leave with a packed lunch. And I want to point out that in the course of one's schedule, it's possible that you might have days that require a packed lunch. And I call those transition days. Those are days where you wake up at one property, but will sleep at another. Those days really do benefit from having a packed lunch because then you don't have to chop up your day or take even more time away from functional viewing time to take a meal. The one exception to the rule for the transition day rule is Ngorongoro crater. Because of the distinct descent into the crater and fee that you pay to descend, a packed lunch is also assumed on that day, even if you're going back to the same property in the evening. So on that first day, you'll leave for your first park with a packed lunch. And then later on in your safari, hot lunches are possible when you're not transitioning, and you'll be able to talk with your guide in the evening the night before to determine what will best serve your goals. So you will have transited to your first park, and every time you arrive at a new park boundary, your guide has to do some administration. He has to pay for your park fees, register the vehicle, things like that. So just know that there's about a 10 to 15 minute pause at the park entrances for him to take care of that paperwork. At those junctures, it's also good to point out that there are running water flush toilet bathrooms at the park entrances. Once you're inside the park boundary, there are facilities. In most cases, those facilities are quite basic. They're outhouses that do not have running water or flush toilet. So I would use the good toilets proactively and also travel with some hand sanitizer and some tissue packs. That will really help set you up for a comfortable day. So once you are in the park, there's some basic rules and regulations that we need you to abide by. So game viewing in all of the national parks and including the Ngorongoro Conservation Area and Crater are from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So that's when it's allowed to be driving on the game roads viewing game. In the national parks, you are also required to stay on designated game viewing roads. There are very few exceptions to that rule. It's a seasonal location called Ndutu. If you are traveling usually between December and March and you're in Ndutu, there is some off-roading allowed, but otherwise it's staying on the game roads. And then coupled with the 6 to 6 rule of when you can game drive, your guide wants to make sure that you're safely settled into your overnight location by dark. Now, sunrise and sunset is 6:30 to 6:30. So again, he's going to work the logistics to make sure that he's following the rules and regulation and making sure that you get as much functional time out in the park day by day. And then what will happen is at the end of each day, you'll do what we call an evening debriefing. During this conversation, you will talk about probably, what are the logistical requirements of tomorrow? What goals are we trying to accomplish and how should we design our day? If you're waking up inside a park boundary, maybe that means getting up early for a sunrise drive and coming back for breakfast. Or if it's, again, a transition day, well, let's get up early, pack a lunch, and get to our next park. Things like that. So each evening, you'll touch base with your guide and you will set a morning start time and the daily schedule. If there's an option for a hot lunch versus packed lunch, you'll make that decision as well. And if you have anything that's non-game viewing, like a walk, hot air balloon activity, again, review with your guide the details of what to expect for the next day. Each day's debriefing may be a little bit different because each day's experience will inform what you may want to do tomorrow. So with that said, I hope that you have a fantastic journey. We are always here to answer questions, and we like to say, Safari and Gemma, safe journey.